New polling is giving us an idea of what Texans think about President Donald Trump's policies and actions in his second term. Yesterday, I sat down with Dr. James Henson with the Texas Politics Project to break down the results. Dr. James Henson, thank you so much for taking some time out to talk with us.
Great to be back with you.
You know, you all talked to 1,200 Texas voters looking at President Donald Trump and what they think of the job he's doing. Talk to us first and foremost about that overall approval rating.
Yeah, overall, Texans are very evenly divided. 47 approve, 46 disapprove. That's technically in positive territory, but given margin of error, it's sort of pretty dead even. He's about where we expect him to be based on where he was for most of his first term.
And I would imagine, looking at the parties, more Republicans support the job he's doing, Democrats not so much, right?
Yeah, look, his approval rating went down about 5 points between our February poll and this poll. And that was just a little bit of 2 or 3 points of attrition in his positive rating in every party category. But still, he's holding very strong among Republicans. Republican job approval still, I think, at about 89%. So pretty good shape.
Yeah. You mentioned something you said, which is about what we expect based off of his first presidency. Talk to us about the trend of, Trump's approval ratings in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, look, the president has always been, on one hand, very popular with the Republican base. I say always, at least since he got the nomination in 2016. But he's also been very polarizing among Democrats. So he's always been in this kind of mid to high 40s range. I think he's broken 50% maybe twice, one time being in February, very much a honeymoon reading. But he stays remarkably stable and unchanging, and you see that in a lot of his ratings.
Yeah, and particularly when we talk about some of those ratings, wide support among Republicans about what he's doing at the border. Talk to us about how Texas voters are feeling about his immigration and his border policy.
Well, Texas Republicans still love them some Donald Trump when it comes to the border and immigration. Right. His approval rating on the border and immigration, 92%. I think it's really what's helping prop him up when you start looking at where his approval is on some of these other issues that are out there right now, in particular the economy.
The other thing that he, really ran on, and that I think people are really looking to, is the economy.
Yeah. Right?
And so what are Texans feeling about the president's work on the economy?
Well, they're not feeling nearly as good as they are feeling about his work on the border, I'll tell you that. Overall, he's underwater on the economy. So with everybody in the poll, 40 approve, 46 disapprove. So what we would call net negative. And even among Republicans, his numbers are not as good. I was saying he was 92% on immigration and the border, 76% approval on the economy, even a little lower when we focus on prices and inflation. The overall issue here for both the president and going forward into the election year is that what we're seeing, I think, is as the border quiets down, people are willing to say, done a great job on the border, but their attention is turning a bit more to the economy and prices. And as we all know, people are very unhappy about that. We see it in the polling, both nationally and in the state, and I think that's the thing to watch going forward.
Yeah, I appreciated that you all asked, do people think it's going to hurt or help their families? Yeah. And I think overwhelmingly we saw more people saying they think that his policies are going to hurt. When it comes to tariffs, this is exactly kind of what we're seeing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That item you were referring to, we asked people 3 questions about tariffs, direct questions anyway, when we asked about whether they thought prices were going to go up because of the tariffs. Vast majority of them do, including lots of Republicans. Do they think it's going to help the economy in the long run? That's where we see Republicans sort of accepting the president's argument, and more Republicans think that in the long run, the tariffs will help. That's the argument we're hearing from the Trump administration. But as you say, when we ask, how about you and your family, a majority of Texans think that the tariffs are probably going to hurt their family's household finances. The Republicans are still more split, but again, I think the tariff issue is still not played out. We still don't know exactly where those levels are going to set, what the president's going to do, how the negotiations are going to go. And there are expectations out there that prices are going to go up. That's what economists think, and I think that's what most Texans think right now.
Yeah. Will be interesting to watch it play out. You all asked folks a lot more questions about the president. Tell people where they can see all of those results.
You can find all our data at the Texas Politics Project at texaspolitics.utexas.edu, and that includes the Second Reading podcast, which we do pretty much every week. This week, it's myself and the rest of the UT polling team breaking down results from the poll. So invite people to listen to that.
Yeah, it's fun to listen to. Dr. Hinson, thank you for your time.
Glad to be here, Ashley.